Hey there, Minnesota Vikings fans. You are listening to the Purple People podcast live. My name is Kyle West. I am accompanied by Kyle Smith this week. How are you, Mr. Smith?
Hey, man, he might have been sitting down, but I'm rocking the Teddy jersey. I'm smiling from ear to ear because we have a good show to talk about today.
I love it. I love it. We're super excited. Adam Carlson is out. Adam is actually at the game that we're going to be talking about because the Minnesota Vikings beat the Green Bay Packers. I don't have to tell you guys, 17-14 in the season home opener.
It was amazing.
At U.S. Bank Stadium. Amazing, exciting game. We got to see the debut of Sam Bradford as a Minnesota Viking, among other topics that we're going to be talking about.
I'm going to take the reins, and I hope Adam doesn't mind when he listens to this finally, but we have to do an episode title. I'm going to go, it said 218. It's 218?
218 is correct. We've been doing 218 of these things. I have no idea how.
Because we have some great fans who love this passionate football team as much as we do, and we wouldn't keep doing it if you guys didn't keep listening. Well, actually, that's not true. We probably would, but it's a lot more fun because you guys interact with us, so thank you for that. This is episode 218 of the Purple People podcast. On the fly, I came up with the good, the Bradford, and the ugly. And
I like it. It was. You want to know what title I was thinking?
What's that?
The Bradford Exchange.
Oh, touche. That's not a bad one either. It's not bad because you and I are second fiddle to what Adam comes up with most of the time. So
he'll have some awesome title that be like, you guys should use this.
That's how you know we don't do this, because the last time I came up with a good title, I remember what it was, and it was a long time ago. It was RG3 and out.
Oh.
That's a long time ago.
Oh.
But yeah, you were saying if you guys are just now jumping in, if you are going to jump in, we're excited. I know it's late. It's like 12:30 on the East Coast right now, a.m. But we hosted the first game at U.S. Bank Stadium. Division game, statement game, as Kyle was talking about before we got
Statement game, yeah.
Statement game. We won 17-14. I kind of figured the game was going to go like this. But real quick.
See, I didn't. But we do quick. Let's do some quick hits first, and let's talk about the game.
Yeah, see, I'm getting ahead of myself. We do. Adam's usually. We're feeling it already. You're not here. He usually keeps it organized. Wanted to give a shout out.
We're so excited.
Oh gosh, yeah, a win over the Packers is great, and to open up the new stadium, the best. But want to give a quick shout out to Eric Kendricks. We beat the Tennessee Titans last week. He had a clutch play, a pick six for like 77 yards. He was named NFC Defensive Player of the Week. So shout out to Eric Kendricks. It was pretty cool to see him get recognized because he sat out I think he sat out all preseason. He was nursing an injury, and his presence was immediately felt and nationally recognized. So it'll be a good little trophy to throw up in his home now. One of many, if you ask me. He's going to have a lot of those.
I want to say a big shout out really quick, Skol, to everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining us this week.
Yep. We wanted to do a live show directly after the game, so we're kind of lacking for the quick hits, but I know that was a main topic. Mostly everything that Adam was writing, he took a small break because he wanted to have a good vacation this week and enjoy the game. He was at the game like we mentioned. He's probably driving home through traffic right now.
He's probably on the light rail. I know Adam rode the light rail.
Yeah, that's a smart idea.
Yeah,
but
that's the way to go.
We had a lot of prep this week, but the main topic was who was going to start for the Vikings. Mike Zimmer was playing coy most of the week. He didn't want to give anything away. You kind of figured Bradford was going to start sooner than later. I didn't expect him to jump in this quick, but seeing as how we started off fresh and the amount that we gave up for him, he was going to start sooner than later, like I said. So Mike Zimmer was trying not to give that away until today. Unfortunately, it got leaked yesterday on Saturday. Ian Rappaport reported it. So that was the main topic going into the week. And some notables before we get into this game review: Sharif Floyd, Eric Kendricks, Michael Pruitt. We had a lot of people out, the key players, and we somehow managed to come out with a victory. But I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let Kyle jump in. Let's talk about this victory, man. What were your thoughts, first of all?
17-14, Minnesota Vikings pick up the win. A big matchup against the Green Bay Packers. They're all must-win games, but in my opinion, this was a Vikings come out and let's make a statement. It's been we won the division last year, and everyone was still talking about how it's Green Bay's division.
Yes.
And especially after Teddy goes down. Just no love for the Minnesota Vikings. And the fact that they needed to come out and they needed to win this one to prove that without our starting quarterback, you still got to respect the Minnesota Vikings, and they did it. And it was a good performance by Sam Bradford. It was a good defensive performance as well, too.
Defensive performance.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to go into game balls and donkeys before we get and break down each position.
Yep.
So you go right ahead, man. Who is your game ball going to?
I got to give it to my man, the receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, number 14, Stefon Diggs. Diggsy, you guys know that I have loved him ever since training camp. Longtime fans of the show will remember that he was a guy that I was talking about in Mankato when we first drafted him, and that he would be a future superstar. And look who had his coming out party today for the Minnesota Vikings on a national stage. Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. Stefon Diggs, look at the numbers that he put up. He had 9 receptions for 182 yards and a touchdown for Minnesota. Hello, Stefon Diggs.
Ridiculous. And you know what?
I love it.
Not even the yardage or the touchdown, the receptions. This kid is, you can tell immediately he's the favorite target. And I know we drafted Laquan Treadwell. It's great. He's going to develop. But I thought this was going to be Charles Johnson's coming out party this year because he was out and he's a deep threat. But Diggs is just everywhere. And it's going to be really funny with the running back situation. We'll talk about that in a minute. Mm-hmm. People are going to have to start teaming up on Stefon Diggs. It's only going to open up the running game. This offense is starting to find its identity and click in the passing game.
And what I love about Diggs is yards after the catch. For
Absolutely.
a long time in Minnesota, we've been trying to get it done with lower tier receivers, guys like, Bernard Berrien and Michael Jenkins, whatever, where they make a catch and then it was just immediately down. Just immediately. And Diggs has the ability to make big plays after he catches the ball. Mm-hmm. And he does some crazy things out of the field. And he's doing this with whoever is back there at quarterback, whether it be Teddy or Bradford or Sean Hill, whoever it is, he's making plays. It's exciting. He's got a great future for Minnesota. He's made Jarius Wright expendable.
And that sucks because I love Jarius, but you're exactly right.
I do too. Jarius isn't even active.
It's insane to think about. Shout out to Tommy Gunn. Tommy Gunn's been preaching that the last 2 weeks, so it's his true statement. I'm going to jump in for my game ball, and I'm going to give you Aaron Rodgers' stats first because I can give my game ball. It's going to Sam Bradford, by the way. No disrespect to Trey Waynes for sealing the interception and the defense and how great they play. We're going to get into that, but my man Sam Bradford hasn't been a Viking for 2 weeks, and Aaron Rodgers, 20 for 36, 213 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Sam Bradford, 22 more completions, less attempts, 31, more yards, 286, 2 touchdowns and no picks. He's been in the organization for less than 2 weeks. This dude came out and had a coming out party, and I'm not going to say he's Tom Brady. I'm not even saying he's better than Aaron Rodgers all the time, but we could have had a Josh Freeman incident all over again and just have him crap the bed and roll around in it. This guy came out, he got hurt, left hand injury. You could see it was nasty, shook it off, and he came out and wanted to win. And we said this earlier last week's show. This is the most talented team this dude's played on, and it's pretty obvious. I like his accuracy. I like his arm. I like that he's willing to stand in there and take shots despite being injured before. I know that's got to be mentally, it's got to be in the back of your mind to some degree. But my man Sam Bradford, hey, if it was based off of one game, we look like the geniuses right now as far as general manager and trade-offs go. Now, I'm sure he's going to have a down game. Everyone has a down game at some point. But against Green Bay, prime time, first game as a Viking, shout out to Sam Bradford, man. Mad respect. He played awesome tonight, and I hope it continues.
I give a shout out to Tommy Gunn in the chat. He's like, you haven't seen a gunslinger like this since Brett Favre.
That's right.
And you know what? You're not wrong. You're really not wrong on that one. I gotta give some love to Sam Bradford here too, and we'll do more once we get into the game breakdown. But he probably doesn't have a full grasp of this offense, and the announcers were talking about this a little bit. There were times in the huddle where it looked like he's looking at Stephon Diggs, and he's doing a little bit of the old Favre thing where you just get the feeling that he's like, just run this route and I'm going to throw it to you. Mm-hmm. Like, just get open and I'm going to sling it to you. And I like that.
And you know what the greatest part is, too, to finish up the Sam Bradford talk? Rudy had a touchdown. He threw it to Adam Thielen. I mean, he's not targeting Diggs every single time. It was the majority, obviously, with 9 receptions, but he got it to the other receivers too. He's going to get in sync. I think as the season goes on, he's going to get more comfortable. I'm not going to say he's going to do greater than tonight or anything like giving crazy predictions on this, but he's only going to get more comfortable. So I think this is a great system for him. And I forget who tweeted. It was either you or Adam, but somebody said, "Man, I feel like I'm cheating on Teddy right now." But
yeah, that was me. I tweeted that. Hey, you know what? I do.
I'm sure Teddy's as excited about a W as any of us are. So I'm excited, man. Sam Bradford, game ball. You played great tonight.
We have lots of people in the chat. Everyone's like as pumped up as we are for this right now too. We have lots of questions about Kyle Rudolph and whatnot. Yep. We're gonna get to all that here in just a second. We're gonna do our donkey, and then we're going to go into some breakdown. Everyone here. So for my donkey, I'm gonna go with Matt Khalil and the offensive line. I don't know what's going on with them. I hope they get it together. It's still early in the season, only week 2. But there needs to be a much larger improvement if we want Sam Bradford to last. We don't want him to get killed. We don't want him to get injured. These guys, there's a reason why we brought in Alex Boone. There's a reason why we brought in all this competition, and I'm not getting the results that I had expected from this. So Donkey's going to go to Khalil and the offensive line. I would be okay if Matt Khalil retired after this season at the rate that he's going. I'm going to be 100% honest with that one. If he was just like, hey, early retirement, I'd be like, okay, I'm fine with that.
Fun fact, we did this in the chat about 2 weeks ago. I asked the guys because I randomly decided to get bored at work and look up how much we're paying people. Besides Adrian Peterson, the top paid player per position, whatever else overall from the 53 is Matt Khalil. So keep playing like that and you're going to be out of a job, sir. I'm just going to throw that out there, especially with how much we're paying you this year. But I like that pick. It's weird how the offensive line has shifted from good pass protection to crappy run blocking because it's been the opposite for so long. But like you said, you got to keep Sam upright. I didn't like the helmet to hand to chest Clay Matthews kind of deal, but Clay Matthews
happens. That's football. That happens.
I didn't like that, but I didn't like at all how Matt Khalil was getting worked tonight because he always is, and you want to see him step up against good teams. And Clay Matthews is one of the best linebackers in football. We know that. We know he's going to pick on Matt Khalil, and he did. For me, it was a hard choice because the game was so up and down. It was never to Bradford. It was pretty much never to anyone on the offensive line minus Khalil. I'm going Terrence Newman. I would have given it to Trey Waynes had he not sealed the freaking deal because he had a lot of penalties, but so did Terrence Newman. And I won't say that he looks old. He's still competing, and he was twice in the game. He almost had 2 picks, but it has to go to someone. I'd love to pick on Blair Walsh, but he actually did good tonight. Jeff Locke punted really, really well, especially the end. The last punt was great. So Terrence Newman, you're getting my donkey this week. I wish he would have caught one of those interceptions that he had a hand on twice. But, hey, you know what? If this is why we're complaining, that's a good thing.
Let's jump back into it. Let's just talk again. Quarterbacks. Quarterback, we only have one play this week for the Vikings. Sam Bradford, like we said, 22 for 31, 286, 2 TDs, no interceptions. Solid debut performance. I want to touch on something that it's all in the back of our mind. I tweeted it out. During the game, you're super excited. The Vikings won. You give all this praise to Sam Bradford, and then after it's over, it feels a little bit like you're cheating on your girlfriend because I love Teddy Bridgewater. You love Teddy Bridgewater. Vikings Nation, we all love Teddy Bridgewater. People in the chat telling Tommy Gunn to calm down because of all his Diggs love. We'll get to more Diggsy here in a minute. But it does feel a little bit like you're cheating on Teddy. Now, I firmly believe that this is going to be Teddy's team moving forward. But if Sam Bradford looks really, really good and he continues to grow, which I believe he will, he's going to develop more chemistry, more timing with the team. He's going to get more comfortable in the offense. Hopefully the line starts to improve, better blocking around him. It makes it really interesting for when Teddy comes back because there's no guarantees in the NFL. It might be a competition. I mean, that's a way far off discussion to be having, but it could. We're eventually going to be having that discussion.
Yeah, we are. And you know what I think it is, if you want to just simplify this conversation, Sam Bradford, to me, like I've told you guys last week, I told you 2 weeks in a row, Sam Bradford's got the arm and a little bit – I don't know about the accuracy. Teddy's pretty accurate too, but it's shorter throws. Sam Bradford's got the arm that we want Teddy to have. Teddy has the mobility we wish Bradford has. I think Sam Bradford is where Teddy Bridgewater wants to be, but he's already there. So –
And I also tweeted out during the game everything that Sam Bradford was doing, I believe that Teddy could have done equal or maybe even better because he's more comfortable with the team and with the offense.
Right. We'll get off the quarterbacks because we got to talk about the rest of the team. But I will say I like that even under pressure when Bradford knows he was going to get sacked, ball security was the greatest of the game. And I mean, and even at the end, we had 3 seconds left. He's like, you know what? I'm going to scramble to the right, and I'm just going to toss it out of bounds. I'm really glad that we forced turnovers, and I think we lost there was a fumble from Adam Thielen, but he did recover. So all in all, when you force turnovers, you don't make any. It's old school football. You're probably going to double or triple your chances to win. I'm going to go straight over to the rushing attack. Adrian Peterson is going to be a hot topic this week and the next week. Adrian Peterson left the game with an apparent right knee injury. He was not putting any pressure on it. He wasn't a brace. I just got an update. If you guys heard my phone vibrate a second ago from Bleacher Report.
What is it?
Zimmer says that Adrian Peterson's knee injury has calmed down and is not yet ruled out for week 3 despite wearing a giant brace. Okay, that's smoke and mirrors, and that's not a good thing. But
that's the most Mike Zimmer quote.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gets calmed down. That's
Adrian Peterson has 50 yards through 2 games, which is unheard of. He had 12 carries for 19 yards. He didn't lose the ball. He didn't get a touchdown, but Matt Asiata and
he didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything, and I'm not going to blame it on him. You could see there were times where he was trying to break free. This run blocking is not good for the team these first 2 weeks. It's just not.
No, they're not doing him any favors. It's an odd place for the Vikings to be in.
Yes.
Because for a long time now, Adrian has carried this team on his back. I mean, he fucking carried Christian Ponder to the playoffs. I mean, and we're looking at a situation now where he left the game with 19 yards, and of course, it's Adrian. Your heart stops momentarily when he goes down on the field.
I'm gonna be honest with you, mine didn't. Mine didn't stop at all. I wasn't mad. I wasn't happy that he was out, but I wasn't shifting to when he lost his knee during the Redskins game a couple years ago and he was done. I was like, well, there's our season.
Here's where I was going though. It's like your heart stops for a moment because it's Adrian Peterson and you're so used to him being the focal point of the team.
Exactly.
But once you really started to think about it, you're like, he hasn't done. Like, this whole game had been Sam Bradford and Stephon Diggs, which if you would have told me that beforehand, a couple weeks ago, it was supposed to be Adrian Peterson and Teddy Bridgewater that were going to be leading this Vikings team to the playoffs. And we're looking at Diggs and Bradford, and it really didn't matter that Adrian was out. Actually, we got to see Matt Asiata come in and gain 14 yards on half the carries that Adrian had. We got to see a little bit of McKinnon, not much. They were mostly running the clock out, but it really honestly didn't seem to matter. We got a hell of a block from Zach Line, the underrated player for the team as well too. But it's interesting to see the next man up mentality for this team really kicking in. Like who would have thought that we're winning without Adrian Peterson? We're winning without Teddy Bridgewater.
I'll go into it.
This is new territory.
This is completely not what we're used to. This is not the identity we're used to. We can finish up the rushing. So we talked about Sam Bradford, the rushing. We had 35 total rush yards tonight. That's unheard of. Adrian Peterson, 12 carries, 19 yards, 1.6 average. Matt Asiata, 6 carries, 14 yards, 2.3. Jared McKinnon, 2 carries for 2 yards. And Patterson and Bradford both ran, and they both lost yardage. So this is not the identity that we're used to. But you know what's great? And I understand that you want to stay committed to the run, quote, quote, as you know, the announcers and the coaches would say. But if you know that it's not what your strengths are going to be, or it's not working for you in that game, I'm so glad that they adjusted and let Sam just let the ball rip. You know what I mean? Even though it's not an ideal situation. Could have, like I said, this could have been a Josh Freeman incident. Really, really bad. But obviously it wasn't. I'm glad that they decided to air the ball out, because I think the Packers' game plan was to shut AP down, but they weren't really accounting for Bradford being in this in sync. Onto the receiving side, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, Charles Johnson, Matt Asiata, Adrian Peterson, and Jarrett McKinnon all caught balls. Diggs obviously was the leader. 9 receptions, 182 yards. Average was 20.2. His longest was a 46-yard bomb, which was awesome. He caught a touchdown as well. Adam Thielen was second, 4 receptions, 41 yards. Kyle Rudolph, 3 for 31 and a touchdown. Really nice to see him getting into the end zone 2 weeks in a row. Or I'm sorry, we didn't score last week. I'm thinking of another game. I'm so sorry. I had to correct myself on that. Charles Johnson, Matt Asiata, Adrian Peterson, Jarrett McKinnon caught a couple, but Rudolph, Thielen, and Diggs. I wasn't expecting to say that. I was expecting to hear a lot more Charles Johnson in the mix, maybe even some Jarius Wright, but he hasn't been active. So receiving wise, I mean, we were airing it out, almost 300 yards. It was a good game for the receivers.
I was wondering really quick if anyone in the chat has a snap count on Laquan Treadwell. How much he even played, because I don't remember him seeing him on the field for the Vikings. I don't even know if he was out there. That's another thing that if you would have told me before the season that we're going to be winning games, we're going to be having the kind of production that we're having on offense without Laquan Treadwell, who possibly would have guessed that one? I wouldn't have. Kyle Rudolph continues to giveth and taketh for the Minnesota Vikings.
He does.
I don't understand how
he comes up clutch, but he doesn't.
I know
he comes up clutch and scores points, but he drops and doesn't catch some really
easy passes.
It's confusing. But hey, man, if you're putting up points, I'm not going to complain. I just don't want to see the ball being turned over. That's my main. Thank you for scoring points for us, but it would be nicer to see him, on a third down to catch it so we can keep the drive alive. Defensively, now this is where me and you are going to talk a lot. I'm going to do stats real quick. Andrew Sendejo led the team in tackles, 9. But here's where the stats are crazy. Linval Joseph, 5 total tackles, a sack. We have Daniil Hunter, still continues to be a force. He had a sack. Everson Griffin, 2 tackles, had a sack and a forced fumble. Brian Robinson had a key forced fumble and a sack. Daniil Hunter, Eric Kendricks, Everson Griffin, Brian Robinson all had forced fumbles. Trey Waynes is where we're going to focus on for now, because I know it's going to shift there. If he had not gotten this game-winning interception, he was going to be probably the unanimous donkey for the night. Trey Waynes looked fantastic tonight as far as speed and coverage, but he's way too handsy. His college game is still clearly there with being too touchy-feely with the receivers when he's not supposed to be. I think he had 3 different PI calls in one drive, and you had to think, I thought it. I said it out loud. I was like, Mackenzie Alexander is going to come in if he doesn't stop this.
He did.
And he actually did later.
He did.
But
Zimmer's got balls of steel. He does what he wants, whether it's the team going for it on fourth down, or whether it's him being like, I just totally lost my train of thought. Mackenzie Alexander, like you said, benching Trey Waynes, a first-round pick, momentarily in the middle of the game, and putting Alexander in. That's ballsy stuff.
Excellent coaching.
Leslie Frazier would never do that. He never would have. Neither of those things.
No, he would have been Redskin Josh Normaning it and keeping him in and on one side and out on the right receiver. But we won't talk about Leslie Frazier today. Good plug. Ooh. So, basically with Trey Waynes, if you didn't watch the game, Trey was all over Jordy Nelson. He was all over Adams. He even played Randall Cobb a little bit. Now, with receivers like that and Aaron Rodgers throwing to him, sometimes he's going to get beat. But for the most part, keeping up with the receivers was not a problem. And the thing that I love most, and I'm going to tell you straight up, with that interception, he could have easily been in the talks for the game ball too, because he sealed the deal for us to win. Being aggressive at the right time, and most of the time during the game, he was doing a lot of desperation corner play, but he was aggressive at the end. He sealed the deal with an interception. And I want to talk about to transition a little bit. I want to talk about the defensive line. They were in Aaron Rodgers' ass all night. There was a ton of pressures, a lot of knockdowns. Sharif Floyd didn't even play. Tom Johnson, we've said this many times on the show, he would be a starter on another team, probably half of the league's D-line somewhere. So shout out to Tom Johnson. He played excellent tonight, filling in for Sharif Floyd. Everson Griffin hasn't slowed down a bit. Brian Robinson's starting to switch out a little bit with Danielle Hunter, which I know he probably doesn't initially probably rubbed him the wrong way. Danielle Hunter's
keeps him fresh.
Yeah, absolutely.
It keeps him fresh, and it keeps young talent on the field.
Absolutely.
There was that amazing defensive shift that they called. I think it was on a third down that was play.
Beautiful. Beautiful third down shift from the defense.
I've never seen anything like that. I'm going to need to pull up a highlight of that, if I can even find a highlight of that. Mm-hmm. But essentially, they took Brian and they had him flip from one side to the other side of the field, and they just the whole defense just like flipped, and you could tell.
They confused Aaron Rodgers a lot.
More than a lot. It totally threw them off their game. Mike Zimmer, can I just say it? Hall of Fame coach. Is that a bold statement for the week? Is he a Hall of Fame coach? I mean,
man, I think it's premature at this point, but from what you're seeing from him, you can see why he should have been a head coach 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now think about that. Here's a weird. If you've ever watched Dave Damashek on the NFL, if one thing would have went the other way, if Mike Zimmer would have got hired 5 years ago, let's say in St. Louis, and had a Sam Bradford, I wonder how many teams he would have shifted, because that defense is already good now. Imagine what it would be like if you had Bradford, that defense. The NFC West would look completely different than it does right now. Shout out to the Rams, too, since we're talking about the Rams on the Vikings podcast, for beating the Seahawks today and holding them to a field goal. Hilarious. But like you said, that is a bold freaking statement, man. But from what he's doing and the attitude that he's establishing, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And you know what? The best quote that I heard leading up to this game, they said, "What do you think about the Packers rivalry?" And he goes, "We have to beat Green Bay a lot more for it to be a rivalry."
For sure.
That's the best attitude you can have. This guy he doesn't take any shit, excuse my language, and I love it. I absolutely love the grit that he brings.
We're comparing Stephon Diggs to Randy. What do you think of that one?
I like him more compared to Percy Harvin, minus that migraines and the douchebaggery.
He brings more than Percy to the table, I think. He's more of a all-around rounded receiver.
Yeah, I think I can see that. I think if he was
Harvin was very much a gadget guy and like a slot receiver at best. And Diggs is not just a gadget guy. Like he's out there.
Rephrase that, since you did bring a little bit of light there. I think he's what we wanted Percy Harvin to be. I did like that Percy would sometimes take punt returns back, sometimes kickoffs, but we have Cordero for that. But yes, totally. He's definitely worth the 5th round and more from where we got him. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I want to give a shout out to the safeties, man. I know we poop on Andrew Sandejo a lot. He was all over the field tonight. Harrison Smith came in with some key plays, just showing how versatile he was, getting into Eddie Lacy a couple of times. They they saved a couple touchdowns tonight when Trey Waynes was getting picked on and Terrence Newman was getting PIs too. The safeties really stepped up tonight. So if you guys didn't see that, they earned their keep tonight for sure when the D-line wasn't ruining the game for Green Bay's offense.
My little mini rant on Trey Waynes is you got to see the good and the bad from him. Mm-hmm. You can clearly see all the potential in him, and I love the fact that he's a fighter and he fought through this game because even though he played well, he was getting a lot of flack for the the flags and stuff that were called on him. He was playing good coverage. He's just getting handsy.
He's physical.
You can't get handsy. I like the physical nature. He's just got to learn, when to stop. You can only be like touchy-feely for what the first.
I'm gonna Mr. Miyagi right now. You know who he is through his first 2 seasons? He is Xavier Rhodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's just a smaller, quicker Xavier Rhodes. They're 2 completely different body types, but and Xavier's a fantastic corner, so I'm okay with that. Obviously, we want to have less calls because it got green. You got to think about how well we played defensively. They scored at least one of their 7 of their 14 points came from us giving it to them with PI calls. This defense is no freaking joke. So. Yeah, I totally agree with you on your rant, though. 100%.
And it's really super important to me, and I think to, probably Mike Zimmer and the Vikings, that he was able to fight through that, and then he comes up with a big-time interception
Absolutely.
at a crucial moment in the game, because we've seen firsthand what happens to corners like Chris Cook, for example, where they get picked on, they get beat up, they get some flags thrown on them.
They never get interceptions their whole career.
Yes, and it's just they never recover from it. And you've seen Trey Waynes fight through this, tooth and nail fight through it, come up with that interception. Do you know what that interception will do for his confidence? You've seen him walking off the field with that football. He's keeping that football.
Not only that, if you watch from the offensive side of the Packers, from where the camera, the the line camera was. When you see him make the interception, you can see Mike Zimmer's silhouette, and it's clear enough you can tell it's Mike Zimmer, and he's losing his freaking mind in happiness. And that's what I love seeing. And I know the first thing. What's that?
Can we get Xavier Rhodes back on the field, though? I really, really, really want Xavier Rhodes back as soon as possible.
Tariq Floyd, too, if you want to come back. I mean, whenever you're feeling healthy, man.
This defense, man, they put on a hell of a performance for having those 2 guys out. Those are 2 big pieces to this machine.
Special teams did pretty well. Cordero had a good, I think, almost a 40-yard gain when we really needed it because the momentum had shifted. The Packers had just scored. Blair Walsh made every kick that he needed tonight. He had a field goal, and he had 2 extra points. Shout out to Blair for overcoming a crappy week last week. Jeff Locke, man, he was punting very well, even though I believe one of them was blocked.
The blocked punt. I follow Chris Cluey still on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Someone's gonna exit the chat immediately because I just brought up Chris Cluey. But I still follow him on Twitter, and he was breaking down a little bit of Jeff Locke and some special team stuff, and he had mentioned that block was not necessarily on Jeff Locke. Mm-hmm. That potentially maybe he could have got it a little bit out a little bit quicker, but that wasn't really on him. That was like a breakdown of special teams blocking in front of him. So you can't really put that one on Locke. This was a good game for special teams because we don't have to talk about Blair Walsh or Jeff Locke.
Yeah, I like it because you can like line when they do a good job, but they don't.
I don't want to have to mention him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
And he had a great punt, and I'll say it might have been a little bit of luck, but it went to the very right edge and the inside about the 20, and then it took a bounce back, and it was inside the 10. And it was great, and great awareness by the special teams players who are letting that ball roll all the way back. I think it went to the 8.5 or 9. But, yeah, Jeff Locke had a good game too. All around, we came to play. I'm so glad we christened the new stadium with a win, and especially over Green Bay, because they're going to be right in the thick of things like they always are at the end, fighting for a playoff spot, fighting for the division like usual. It's going to be tough to go into Green Bay and win in Lambeau 2 years in a row. But this is a major statement because I'm not gonna completely write off Chicago and Detroit. They'll fight us tooth and nail because they know us. But beating Green Bay sends a statement to the division, and I think it sends a statement to the NFC. Hey, Teddy Bridgewater went down. Look at Sam Bradford. Look at this coach. Look at this defense, man. All chips in 2 weeks in, all the chips on the table. We are right where we want to be. And we have a tough test next week. I'll be there. I'll be live chatting, tweeting, whatever you guys want from that game. We have a tough test next week against the NFC champs from last year. So I like the way we're playing.
We had touched on it briefly before we started recording. I had pregame butterflies, pregame Vikings fan butterflies. Mm-hmm. I know we were all thinking, even if people don't want to admit it, we were all thinking the same thing, where this had the possibility of Sam Bradford going out there and he's overthrowing people. He's throwing 2-3 interceptions. Mm-hmm. It just horrible. We're embarrassed on the national stage, the opening of the stadium, and we're all going, what happened? Because all of the cards were there for this time. Somehow, some way, it didn't, and they fought through it. And that is why I say this is a statement game for the Minnesota Vikings. Because Rick Spielman, man, when they traded for Sam Bradford, it was poker chips all on the table.
And speaking of that, Chris Collinsworth mentioned that as well. During the game, right when they were starting the first quarter, he said, Al Michaels asked him, he's like, you know, if you're the GM for Minnesota, do you do that? And he said, I would do this 10 times out of 10. He said, absolutely. You go out and you get somebody because without a quarterback, you don't have that legit fighting chance. He said, I love it. I would have done the same exact thing. And I'm glad to see that it's finally calmed down and, you know, everyone sees why.
This will shut some critics up.
Oh, I can't wait to see how many bandwagoners come out tomorrow morning. Like I told Kyle before we started this, I'm going to get up in 5 hours. I'm not going to get out of bed. I'm going to listen for the first 30 minutes of Mike and Mike to hear how much they ride the jockstrap for the Vikings tonight.
Hey, man, we can do, 8 hours on YouTube Live? We could go all night on
this. We could, man.
We're not going to, but we could.
We are not, but we could if we wanted to. I wanted to touch we did kind of a on-the-fly show, so we didn't post the social media question. So we're going to post that this coming up week. We're going to give you a long time to comment on it. So I don't want to spoil it for you. You're going to have to check it out. So this is your excuse right now if you're listening or when you listen. Go to the Facebook page. Look for the social media question of the week. It might deal with somebody who's a star player of ours. But if we want to transition, which I think we're done about this game, even though I kind of want to keep talking because we just
I know. It's the exciting part about doing it immediately after the game. It's like I can talk about Vikings football for hours on end. I got one more point that I want to make.
Go for it.
And I know this is going to be a Mike Zimmer point of emphasis as well too. They're getting turnovers, but they're not getting turnovers. Like the ball is coming out, they need to start.
For tonight, we got one of them.
Yes, I realize a lot of that is just dumb luck.
Excuse me, that's 4 forced fumbles we recovered. We got an interception too. There were 5 turnovers that we caused in this game.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Welcome to the life of a Minnesota Vikings fan. What other team does that happen? And no other team does that except us. We find a way to do that.
It reminds me of 2009. We lose in overtime. We had 5 turnovers that game when we lost in overtime. We had that. We should have won that game, but we're not going to reopen up that wound.
Yeah, don't do it. I don't know why you bring up 09. We're having a good time, and then you bring up 2009. Wow.
I'm here to rain on everyone's parade. Purple rain on everyone's parade.
Purple rain. Purple rain. But I do hope that they can put an emphasis on when the ball is on the ground, when your teammate has knocked it out, you got to recover because you're not going to – Bradford's not going to play this well every single game. Like, at some point, this is going to come down to we've thrown an interception or something. We need defense to, go out there and create a turnover for us. So, if we can capitalize on all these turnovers, we can be even more of a dangerous football
Man,
team.
we're going to have a
So,
test, man. I'm telling you. Like, I'm not going to say that I'm thinking we're going into Carolina and going to lose, but as much as everybody wanted to write us off for this division, I firmly believe that we would take this division, even with Sam Bradford being coming to the team, because Aaron Rodgers is great, but he doesn't have the all-star team around. He does have Jordy Nelson. Randall Cobb's great. He's got good connection with Ryan Adams, but man, or Devontae Adams, I'm sorry. When you look at a guy like him, and then
hey,
you
hold
look
on. Hold on. I had a timeout really quick, and this is a good one for you.
okay.
Tommy Gunn wants to know if you will do a Purple Rain cover. With
I
him.
do. I have.
You're the
Purple Rain
music.
cover. I have a Purple Rain cover on my YouTube and Facebook channel. It's a mashup of Prince. Unfortunately, after he passed away, I do have one out there though.
That's awesome.
It's nothing. My favorite song from Prince is "Nothing Compares to You." Sinead O'Connor. He gave it to her. Purple Rain obviously is his most famous, but I did a mashup between Purple Rain into "Nothing Compares to You." And you know what? Damn it! I should have did it in this jersey. That's what I should have done. But
that's a good excuse to redo it. He says you should do a collaboration with him. And my favorite Prince, since we're on the subject and since we don't have Adam here, we can just do whatever the hell we want to. Really quick, my favorite Prince song is that one from Tim Burton's Batman film.
Oh yeah,
the '89, the '89 Burton Batman film where Joker is got his thugs with him.
And they're just destroying all the art.
They're in the museum, and he's got the big radio, and they're playing that Prince track. That's awesome. Anyway, back to the Vikings and the Panthers. Sorry to interrupt.
Game preview next week on the road. I have been in this stadium, I think 4 or 5 times. It's loud. It's rowdy. They are very passionate there, and they have every right to be, especially going to the Super Bowl last year. This is going to be a tough road test. But if you walk out of Carolina with a win, I don't know that you can really say you should doubt any more of the teams we play. Obviously, things will happen in the season, but this to me it was, and still to this day for me, was the biggest roadblock because they went to the Super Bowl and they're the conference champions from last year. Cam Newton scares the life out of me. And, oh, by the way, they have a pretty damn good defense too. So I see a lot of similarities between our teams. Obviously, Cam's an MVP quarterback, so we don't really have that. But I understand how they're built. So this is going to be a tough test.
Oh, sorry, I had to burp there momentarily. Good time for that to happen. I want to give an honorary game ball to Cam Newton's hat that he wore today.
I just don't understand it.
That was amazing. I am a big fan of Cam Newton's hat.
He looked like one of the barbershop quartet boys.
It's a good.
Come sell you popcorn from the '40s movie.
It is. That's what's so cool about it. I like that. That was fun.
He is a very, very strange man when it comes to wardrobe, but he can throw a football like the best of them.
I'm a Cam Newton fan. Minnesota, I say this every single time we play a running quarterback. We have a hell of a time defending quarterbacks who are dual threats. And Cam Newton is, I think, the best dual threat quarterback.
Yes, I agree.
Because he is so, well, for one thing, he's got a cannon of an arm. And he can put the ball anywhere on the field that he wants to. And he does it with ease. But when he runs, he's such a big, strong, physical guy that he can run through defenders.
100%. He's like a linebacker or a DN playing quarterback. He's humongous. He really is. I've met him in person. He's ginormous. So, yeah, it's this is gonna be tough, man. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna think we're gonna go into Carolina and lose. But this is going to be, if not the hardest, one of the top 2 hardest tests we had this year. And Green Bay was the other. Arizona's the other that I have marked. But, I mean, they walked all over Arizona last year. So
that's a good point that Aaron Rodgers is also a scrambling quarterback as well, too. And you did see that when plays broke down, he was able to gouge us on the ground. So
I hate playing him twice a year.
Yeah, I know. Me too. So I'm thinking this game is going to be another strong test for the Vikings, but of course they're going to be up to it. Mike Zimmer will have this team ready to go. Sam Bradford gets another week to prepare, and his confidence also has to be a good confidence builder for him and for the team as well, too, because we know how big of a blow it was to have Teddy go down, and for the lack of production that, Adrian has not had for us as well, too. He's a leader on this team, and he went down. We don't know if he's going to be playing. I'm going to speculate probably not. It's early, but I don't think he's going to be playing next week. You lose him as well too, but you were still able to win this game without those two guys. That's a good confidence builder for this team, and those are important sorts of things. Like, this team is they're starting to win games that they should win, as well as winning games that they shouldn't win.
Yeah.
And this game against Green Bay, I don't want to sound like I'm knocking us, but to be realistic, maybe we shouldn't have won this one. But they were able to find a way to do it. And that's good, because that's how great teams are built.
Absolutely. And it makes me think of when we beat them a couple of years ago with Ponder, and AP had his magical season. We weren't supposed to win that game either, but a lot of things went our way. Everyone played very well, and it just kind of happened. So it was good. I think we're close to wrapping up the show. We have been blabbing for a while, but I would say awesome. We won a game, our first game, the first game that we played in US Bank Stadium. If you guys were there, especially, and I hope Adam had a fantastic time. I know he's super glad he went, especially that we sealed the deal for a win. Shoot us pictures or anything like that. Tell us what you thought. It was good to see it on the national stage as well. It was, one of my friends said yesterday, he's like, why the heck isn't the Steelers-Bengals game? Because it's such a heated physical rivalry. Why isn't that the Sunday night game? I was like, we won our division last year. We won our division, and we're opening up a new stadium, man. Come on. And this totally lived up. I'm telling you, tomorrow morning, people are going to be raving about the team because this on the Sam Bradford deal. But good win tonight, and tough test for Carolina next week. Make sure when we post this social media question, you guys get on here. We're going to shout out every answer that we get. So tell us your thoughts. I wanted to plug the YouTube channel. Go to our YouTube channel and hit subscribe. When we get to 1,000, I know we can do it because we have more than 1,000 people on the Facebook page. Once we do that, this video chat, the way that we bring the show to you is only going to get better. We can start interacting with you guys too in a better scenario and in a better way once we do that. So if you're listening, like it. Share it on your social media for us. I'm going to be aggressive about it. When you do it, take that extra 10 seconds, share it so somebody else who likes the Vikings will. Once we snowball and we get this rolling, the show's only going to get better. You're only going to be more involved. So help us out. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it'll make the show better. And it's all because of you. That's why we do it, and that's how the show's going to get better. Because of you.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow as well, too. To seeing what ESPN, what all the analysts have to say about the Vikings, if they will say anything about the Vikings, because that's a very strong possibility as well, too. We're all football fans. We know what the headlines are going to be on ESPN. It's going to be the Patriots and Garoppolo going down with an injury, and what are they going to do moving forward? And I don't even know if we're going to get much of a passing mention on ESPN or NFL Network.
I think we will because it was the night game. I can see them going in a direction about a game that they really shouldn't talk about,
The storyline will be about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers losing. It will not be – you'll only get a minor mention of the Vikings winning. Like, it'll be more focused. It'll be more focused on the fact that Green Bay lost.
I want to put a bet on this. I bet you it shifts to the Sam Bradford trade. And holy crap, the new stadium. Yeah, I absolutely.
I hope so. I think it should. And see, this is why when me and Adam first started discussing about doing a Vikings podcast, is that we came to the idea that we should do one and that it's a good idea, is because the media doesn't cover us the same way they cover the Patriots or these other large teams. And that's okay. Need them to, but that's what we're here for, is to give you guys some Vikings news and some Vikings love, from some big time fans to some big time fans out there.
Yeah, man, I love it. I'm sure my friends get really annoyed because I tell them all these facts and stats about the Vikings they don't care about because they're not Viking fans, but I was at my friend Nick's house tonight. He's one of my best friends in the world, and he's right down the road from here. And I said, "Hey man, come over once you get back." I flew in from El Paso today, and definitely it was like, "Hey man, I know you're a Bears fan, but it's a Vikings house tonight. Totally all right for it." But Adam's not here. Thank you for letting us do this kind of after-school detention kind of show that we always kind of run. Me and Kyle always do. Adam is the heartbeat of this whole shindig, and I'm really happy for him that he had a blast. I think he went to a wedding yesterday, and he just got to go to the game as well, and it was all a good thing. So happy vacationing for you, sir, and check out Adam's work. He is a writer for Fansided, specifically the Viking Age. So you can check that out, thevikingage.com or fansided.com. Look for the Viking Age there. He does a lot of great articles about the Vikings and helps out a lot of content on this page. Also, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead or Undead Walking, Adam is also a writer for there. He's a huge fan, huge zombie fan. Try undeadwalking.com. He's a writer there. We missed you tonight, man, but we know you were there at the game, and we wish we could have been there with you.
Look forward to photos. Fun fact, the Minnesota Vikings are undefeated in games in which Adam Carlson has attended.
Ooh.
So, yeah, there you go. We just need to start a GoFundMe account to fly Adam to every single Vikings game, and then we cannot lose.
I have an idea. This is what he's going to do. He's going to get a job. Man, I'm old. It's past my bedtime.
It's getting late on our end. I'm coming up 12:30.
We're going to get Adam a security job at US Bank Stadium. So as long as he's actually inside, or we can get him a vending job. He could sell you a hot dog out there, and then we'll at least win 10 games of the year. Or I'm sorry, 8. I don't know why I said 10. It's late. Excuse me on that. But yeah, shout out to Adam for being at the game. We'll put some photos up from what he got to see there. I know he did a live update showing us the Prince halftime show and stuff like that. So it was really cool.
I could never do security because you have to stand with your back towards the field because you have to, you got to watch what the fans are doing. Yeah. And I couldn't be that close to the game. I'd be like this the whole time.
That's how I would be if I did security at a concert. I'd just be able to turn around like, hey, man, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
I'll promote myself, and I'll let you do the honors to close the show out. I do music on the side. I just wanted to tell you guys, if you like covers of country, rock, pretty much any genre that you can think of, I like it all. I'm not really discriminative. Check out my link. It's facebook.com/skatecow, SK8KOW, or youtube.com. YouTube/C as in Charlie /Cowsmith, KOWSMIFF. I have lots of videos up there. It's kind of what I do to escape reality when we're not talking about Vikings football or working. So that's me. Mr. Kyle West has some stuff that he would like to promote.
I'm also getting tired because I am also old and it's getting close to my bedtime. You can check my photography out at KyleWestPhotography.com. Hey, I've got Vikings prints. Eventually, I will have photos of US Bank Stadium as soon as I get around to finishing them. I've been busy. I haven't done that lately. Otherwise, I have all kinds of cool things for sale. Whether you want pumpkins or sunsets or weird things or not weird things. I have a whole array of stuff that you should check out. Maybe buy one. Christmas is coming. I'm poor. I could use your money. That's my plug. I'm poor. I could use your money.
Have you seen Bridesmaids?
It's been a long time.
That's one of my favorite quotes from the movie. Kristen Wiig is on the plane and says, "Help me, I'm poor." That's our plug now for the show.
Yeah, pretty much. I would like to thank everyone for listening, and we will be back next week. I'd say same time, same channel, but we're like different times.
Different time, but same channel.
Different time, still on YouTube.
Shout out to the people who get in on this chat too. Thank you. Keep it coming. We try to get you guys involved and get your chatter in there. Thank you very much.
And on that note, stay classy, Minnesota.